Okay, let's restart these videos. Let's come back for a new session and let's talk about proofreading. Let's have a look at proofreading. This is going to be a bit of a chat and then a look at the first of the proofreading exercises in full in the Life Changing Tuition English workbook. Proofreading, it can be a very simple thing in that the only way to get better at this, there are two ways, the only two ways to truly improve your proofreading is to just reflect on your mistakes and practice. It's true of everything, but more so with proofreading, there aren't necessarily methods. And the reason why I say there aren't necessarily methods is the second thing that you need to be good at proofreading, and it's you need to read. You need to practice and you need to read. You need to master all of the grammatical concepts that are included in this workbook. You need to know all about punctuation, you need to know your spellings, and the only way you're going to learn spellings is by discovering more words and knowing how words are formed and then being able to carry that over to words you haven't seen before. Sounds, rules for structuring longer words, tips and tricks for the way certain letters interact with each other. It's all about practice. So if you want to get the absolute best marks in proofreading, you just have to keep doing it, you have to keep reading, you have to keep mastering all of the rules on how to construct and how to build and how to successfully utilize the English language. There are some things we can talk about and we will have a look here more specifically, but those are the two things really that you need: practice and this active, attentive reading that we've spoken about in previous videos. There are some things here that the book mentions, some of its own tips. I'll expand on them, and what I will say, proofreading, please don't rush. When it says read one word at a time, take it slowly. Reread. Do not rush. These questions are designed to catch you out. They're designed to test not only that you know exactly what to do with punctuation, but that you're paying attention. That's what they want. They want to make sure that you can notice mistakes that, when you get the paper back afterwards and you go, how did I get that wrong? You look at it and go, oh, it's so obvious. They want to catch you out. They want to make sure that you're awake, you're turned on, you're in the room. So be very careful. Take it slowly. One thing that can help you with spellings, we're talking about spellings here, this is something everyone has done. I'm still capitalised. This doesn't always work, so please don't rely on this. Please don't rely on this, but it can definitely help you. Phonetics. Phonetics, if you don't remember having done this, all the way back in reception, really, are the way letters, the alphabet, each letter sounds. And you can use that to your advantage. The way letters sound, the way they sound when placed next to other ones, the way an O next to another O will often make an oo, things like this. The way a C can be a hard k or a soft, more sibilant. Sibilant means an S sound. Sibilant, S's and C's sometimes. A C can be both a S and a K. It can be hard K or it can be sibilant S. These things, these phonetics, these understandings of the way letters work, the way they sound when you say them, will help you with your spelling. Another thing that will happen with your spelling, as I say, is just being familiar with words and the rules on how to spell. And the only way you're going to be able to have that familiarity is by reading more. This is such a useful tool. If you're at home, don't just read the sentence to yourself, actually say it out loud. It's about hearing things like breaths or rhythm or tempo, all of these things. You have to be able to, as you read a sentence, go, oh, okay, it's been quite a long time now. I should probably, there should probably be a comma there, or a colon, or a semicolon, or a hyphen, or a dash, or whatever it is, a slash, something, just to break it up, because it's been too long. These clauses, they can't just go together without a conjunction or a bit of punctuation. There needs to be something there to separate that minor sentence and that major sentence to make that compound sentence. They can't just be thrown together. It's too many words. This will help if you are pursuing advanced marks in creative writing as well. It will improve your own writing. It will improve your own coherency. It will help you make more sense if you understand about pacing and rhythm and tempo, the way that sentences have to be breathable and speakable. You don't rush through them, you don't stumble through them. Punctuation is not just about important rules, it helps you to read fluently or speak fluently or speak coherently. Let's have a look now. This is what your proofreading worksheets look like in this workbook. So let's just talk about each question in this one. I've got all the answers in front of me, so trust me, I know what I'm talking about. Please do pause it before I try and explain each one. I'll give you the answer to each one. Please do give them a go yourself. If you have got a copy of this book and you are working through it, all the rules that are explained in the first section especially, all the tips and tricks, all the workings, the methodologies of grammar and punctuation and spelling and sentence structure, word order, all of these different things, these are the rules you're being tested on here. This is like your practical knowledge. You've done the test. You had a bunch of questions on, say, I don't know, how to use commas. But now you're just reading some sentences in the wild, as it were, and you need to be able to identify where the commas go, whether they're in the right place, whether they're in the wrong place, whether you need one at all. This isn't just about commas anymore either. It's testing everything you might know. This is real life now. Your proofreading worksheet, anything could show up. So you really need to be experts on every single bit of grammar that this book teaches you about, every single bit. So let's have a look at each of these. As I say, please pause it before I start talking. Have a go yourselves. Some of these are just as simple as spotting something, going, oh, well, that's the answer. Some of them do require maybe a bit of explanation. So spelling here, this is all about spotting spelling errors. Don't worry about punctuation or grammar. This is not what we're looking at here. It's irrelevant. We are just talking about the way the words are spelt. Some of them are spelt incorrectly. As I say, you're only going to be better at spelling if you know rules that will help you to spell words. You understand the way phonetics work. You can sound out the word to yourself and then write it down. Or you've seen the words already. And the only way you would have seen the words already is if you're a good voracious is a great word. Voracious. You are hungry. You read everything. You read voraciously, hungrily, eagerly. All that reading will help you recognise words, as I say, in the wild here. So let's have a look at the first one. A dictionary is one of the most useful resources when you're learning a new language. Well, this is fine. I mean, this is a punctuation issue anyway. The apostrophe, it's not an issue, it's correct. Don't get distracted. This is fine. It's good that if you're looking through this, you might notice this. This is something I say. Notice, alarm bells, signs, things to focus on. You might go, ooh, that could be something I should be aware of because maybe the apostrophe's wrong. Maybe it's the wrong kind of yaw. It's good to notice these key things and then come back to them if you need to. But here we're talking about spelling, and that's the correct yaw. Dictionary here. Look at this one, dictionary. Phonetics. Sound out the word slowly to yourself. Dictionary, 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 ari, a. This is wrong. This E here at the end of dictionary should be an A. Dictionary. So the answer here is going to be A for this section. So, number 2, Rain's remarkable accomplishments definitely helped sway those who had questioned her abilities. Well, Some words, are we familiar with all of these? We should be. Questioned might be a bit of a tricky one. The QU, they often go together, so that's quite reliable. And TION is a very reliable shun. All these rules we're talking about picking up. So TION, that looks good. Definitely, that sounds a bit wrong, doesn't it? Definitely should be definitely. Definitely. It should be an E. This A, indefinitely, should be an E. So the answer here is B. That's where the spelling mistake is. 3. The board members expressed altogether dissatisfaction with the executive's performance. Altogether here. Some words, when made into compound words, for instance, all together. Compound words, we know what compound words are. It's when we have two words, and without shortening them at all, we put them together to make a third new word made of two, all together. However, it's not that simple here. Altogether, one of the L's gets dropped. It should just be a L together, just the one L. So here the answer is B. The bees in the colony systematically pollinated every flower within a 1 mile radius. You drop an L here, pollinated needs another L. Pollinated. Double L in pollinated. Again, some of these you will only ever know if you read more and you recognise these words. Don't rely too much on phonetics or rules you've learned. What is the rule for adding an extra L to pollinated? There isn't really one. Can you hear when there's more than one L if you say it? Pollinated. That still might sound like one. Sometimes you just have to have seen the word before, and the only way you're going to be able to guarantee that, or at the very least, make it much more likely, improve your knowledge, that you're going to, see pollinate and go, yes, I've seen this before, I know exactly what to do with this word, is if you've read it before. And the only way you're going to have read it before is if you read more. Number 5, Harry's continuous wailing, pleading and complaining did not achieve the desired affect. Let's have a very quick chat here. So, affect is more of the verb. This is a very common mistake people make, very common. Affect is when you're saying what you're going to do, or what something is going to do. This is going to affect something. This is going to affect something. I'm going to affect your learning by teaching these words. I'm going to affect your learning. That's sort of the verb, right? I'm going to affect your learning by walking you through this proofreading. I'm going to affect it. The effect, the noun, the result, what it has done, what it is actually going to do. The thing, I can point to the effect, the change it's going to make. The effect is that you will be better at proofreading. I will affect your learning. I will affect your learning. In effect, you will be better at proofreading. To achieve the desired effect, the desired thing, that's a noun, this should be effect, with an E at the start. Okay, that's a very simple mistake. A lot of people make that one. It's good that we had the opportunity to talk about that. Sorry, the joys of living with other people, your parents, as we all do, of course. So, where did we get to? We got to number 6. The unconventional scientist had devised a revolutionary cure for a rare form of cancer. Sounds wonderful. The unconventional scientist devised a revolutionary. What? We're looking for revolutionary. Could it be double O? I don't know if that looks right. What else can sometimes make an ooh noise? Well, ooze, revolu. This should be a U. REVOLUTIONARY. Why do I highlight? Okay, there you go. Revolution is REVOLUTION, so this should be revolutionary, right? Again, you may have only known that had you seen the word when doing reading in your own time. Beatrice excelled in languages and mathematics, but faced challenges with other subjects. Now, excelled, we've spoken about verbs before in a previous video. I'm not going to explain it again, but you may remember me using this phrase, a past participle. This is a verb in a form, a certain form, when talking about something that's happened in the past. For instance, the verb to have, one of the most useful verbs in the English language, to have, I have, you have, he, she, it, has, all of that becomes had in a past participle. I had, you had, he, she, it had. We all had. We used to have. Had. I excel in the present sense. I excelled. I used to excel. I excelled. Beatrice excelled in the past tense. Excel, the verb excel, ends with an L. Very often, when verbs ending in an L get put into the past participle form, often ending ed, that's how you can tell it's past participle. It's something that's happened in the past and it ends with ed, a past participle. Verbs that end with L in the present, excel, level is another example, channel, to channel something. Very often when they get put as a past participle, the L doubles. Level, present tense, past participle, leveled, L-E-V-E, double L, E-D, leveled. This should be two L's, excelled. So the answer should be A. 8. Lara finally accomplished her dream of acquiring a yacht to sail worldwide. Lara finally accomplished her dream of acquiring a yacht to sail worldwide. What's the issue here? I don't know. Well, this is something, again, we can't rely on phonetics too much. We have to have some of our own knowledge. Accomplished should be a double C. A double C. Some of these should be very obvious. We should be able to see them as we're going along. Number 9, leading the suspect to the interview room. The detective prepared for the upcoming interrogation. Leading the suspect to the interview room. What do we think that might be? Well, interview, that looks good. Detective, prepared. Interrogation does have a double L. It should have a double L. T-I-O-N, shun. That looks good. I think there is no mistake there. Number 9 is the first one when there's no mistake. It should be E. Don't be afraid of saying no mistake. Sometimes there is no mistake. Sometimes you are correct. You're not seeing anything funny. There is no mistake. Question 10. The questioning will commence upon the arrival of the suspect's legal representative. That doesn't sound right, does it? Representative. 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 See, when you say representative really quickly, it's like should've. S-H-U-L-D, S-H-O-U-L-D, apostrophe, V-E. Should've sounds like should of, but that's wrong. It's just because the way we said it sounds like should of. It's should, apostrophe, V-E. It's a contraction, right? It's should have. Should have. It's a similar one. When we say representative, because we're saying it quickly, it sounds like itive, with an I, but really it's representative. R-E-P-R-E-S-E-N-T-A-T-I-V-E. So the answer here should be D. 11. Throughout his extensive career as a police officer, Detective McClue had never encountered a crime as dastardly and ingenious as this one. See again, encountered. Encountered. We may say encountered like that, encountered, and so we think, oh, it's got to start with an I, but that's wrong. Really, you should say encountered, because it should start with an E instead, encountered. 12. Initiating his ingenious questioning, McClue soon found the situation to be utterly challenging. Now, don't rely on phonetics, don't rely on all of these rules. I'm saying, remember a rule you've learnt here, a rule you've learnt here. Or don't rely similarly on the sounds of words in so far that ingenious sounds like it's got the word genius in it. It's not quite the same. It's not quite the same. And again, you only know this once it's either been taught to you or you've seen it somewhere else. Ingenious, whilst it is about being intelligent, the word, and it sounds like the word genius, it should be I-N-G-E-N-I-O-U-S. You see it here, just in the one before. You see how the way that ends? That's correct. This one is wrong. It should look like the one above it. So the answer here is A. 13. The suspect ignoring. Look at ignoring. Immediately I see that. The E next to the I, it's a vowel clash. It shouldn't work. That's scary. Vowel clash. You need just one of them. Ignoring. When a verb ends in a vowel, but we're placing it into the form where it ends ing, normally very, very rarely, I can't think of any examples off the top of my head, do you keep the vowel at the end. This E, you see that? The E that I've highlighted there, I've also highlighted the R, but look at the E. That needs to go. That needs to go. It's the ing that overrules the E. The E goes. It should be IGNORING. So the answer is A. 14. With a sigh, McClue passed. Homophones. Do we know what a homophone is? Two words or more that are spelled exactly the same, that sound. Two words or more that sound exactly the same but are spelled differently. Past and past. Past, as in pass the ball, P-A-S-S-E-D, he passed the ball. Past, t, with a T, as in the past, the time. This, we're looking for passing an object. Past here is the wrong kind of past. This is past as in the time. You don't time someone a photograph, do you? You give them a photograph. You pass them a photograph. You passed in the past tense. Past in the past tense. Past participle of past. P-A-S-S-E-D. The answer there should be A. Right, let's have a look at your punctuation marks and capitalization, right? So, we're now dealing with punctuation. So we're not looking at spelling anymore, it's just punctuation. Lenny's, you decide. Newly acquired sports car was a sight to behold. Boasting a retractable roof, dazzling alloy. What are the issues there? Do we know what the issue is there? Well, Lenny's new acquired sports car was a sight to behold. Boasting a retractable roof, dazzling alloy. I mean, well, to me, I would say that looks pretty good. See, look, boasting a retractable roof, comma, dazzling alloy, it's another thing in a list. You've got to separate things in a list with a comma. We've spoken about this before. When you get a list structured on a chain of commas, it's asyndetic. Very common. You do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. I went to the shop and I bought eggs, bananas, milk, butter. Those things are separated with a comma because they're in a list, and that list that has commas in it is an asyndetic list. There is no mistake in that first one. The answer should be E. So, boasting a retractable roof, dazzling alloy, wheels, pearlescent blue paint, and a whoa. What have we just spoken about? Asyndetic listing. Listing needs commas in between each item. Boasting a retractable roof, dazzling alloy wheels, that's all one. Retractable roof, dazzling alloy wheels, pearlescent blue paint. Now hang on, those are two different things. Can you hear that? When you read the sentence to yourself, can you see, can you hear those are two different things? You should be able to. Boasting a retractable roof, dazzling alloy wheels, pearlescent blue paint. That's the third thing. You need a comma after wheels. There should be a comma there in the A section, so A is your answer. Despite its impressive appearance, the car had encountered a breakdown, leaving Lenny distressed. Now that's quite a long sentence. Despite its impressive appearance, the car had encountered a breakdown, leaving Lenny distressed. You see how that sounds like too many words without space, without pause, without breath. You pant. You need to be able to pace, to find the tempo, to find the rhythm of your sentences. There are two places you could put a comma, both are correct. Despite its impressive appearance, comma, the car had encountered a breakdown, leaving Lenny distressed. Despite its impressive appearance, the car had encountered a breakdown, comma, leaving Lenny distressed. I say the second one's better. I think your answer goes in C, a comma after breakdown. Despite its impressive appearance, the car had encountered a breakdown. Right? That's one bit. Comma, leaving Lenny depressed. You get your minor sentence at the end there. There needs to be some sort of conjunction or a comma for the thing to make sense when it's all together. Question 4. Her sensible friends had advised against spending so extravagantly on a car, and it seemed there. Number 4. Are there any issues there? Her sensible friends had advised against spending so extravagantly on a car, comma, good, and it seemed there. I think that's fine. I'm saying E for that one. Seemed their cautionary words were becoming prophetic. That's all fine still. Number 5. It appeared increasingly evident that Lenny should have heeded their advice, as her eyes welled up upon learning the repair costs. Well, it appeared increasingly evident that Lenny should have... Well, hang on, wait a minute. This is what I'm talking about when you need to be really precise. They're going to try and catch you out. When you look at it, you may think, well, that's such an obvious mistake. The reason why it's so obvious is because they want to make sure you're paying attention. They want to make sure you're an avid, attentive reader. Should have. Why is the apostrophe outside the word? We know it should be between the D and the V. Obvious. Answer should be B. How much, she inquired, struggling to comprehend the mechanic's explanation. Get rid of that. How much, she inquired. Inquired. Inquired is a synonym of asked. When you ask something, it's a question. Questions need what? Question marks. How much? Question mark, she inquired. There's a mistake there. You need a bit more punctuation. A for number 6. 7. When the mechanic reiterated the price, she exclaimed, "That's all my savings," with a wail of dismay. That's all my savings. Have a look at that. That's all my savings. When you get speech, you can't just go straight back into the rest of the line. You have to isolate it. You need to separate it. It's its own clause. You can't just continue on with the rest of the sentence. That's all my savings. Exclamation mark. Closed speech marks. Comma. With a wail of dismay. Then you can continue the rest of your sentence. You need a comma there. The answer should be C. 8. Swiftly turning above, the helicopter proceeded towards Manchester. Manchester's a place. Some of these are so obvious. Manchester is a place. It needs a capital letter. The answer should be D. 9. Only few graduates express interest in working as scientists. Scientists is just a job. I wouldn't say, teacher's a job. Does teacher have a capital letter? No. Actor's a job. Does actor have a capital letter? No. Scientist, just another job. Doesn't need a capital letter. So the mistake there is C for number 9. 10. Her rude and erratic behaviour. Whoa. Her rude and erratic. Those are just 2 things. It's not a list. A list, you need 3 things. You need 3 things. You can't have 2 things to make a list with a syndeton, with a syndetic listing with commas. You can't do that. 2 things, especially when you've got an and in the middle of them. You can't have a syndetic listing and syndetic listing at the same time. You can't have commas and ands separating the things. You need one or the other. You've got the and there. You don't need the comma. The mistake is an A. Get rid of your comma. 11. The young doctor was thoroughly exhausted. She had not ceased at work since she arrived. Now this looks to me, if I go in close like that, this looks like a semicolon. You see that? After exhausted? Looks like a semicolon. A semicolon is not a full stop. So why has she got a capital letter on it? Doesn't need it. Not a new sentence. You only get a capital letter for a word like she, for a pronoun, at the start of a new sentence. So that should be lowercase. So the error for number 11 is in C. 12. Slowly advancing, Van approached the small fox energetically. Why is there a comma there? The small fox. Small is an adjective for fox. It creates an adjective phrase, doesn't it? Small fox. A noun phrase. Either way. Van approached the small fox. Why? You don't need a breath there. When you read it to yourself, emphasize it, exaggerate it, hyperbolize it. Then you'll know whether it's right or not. Van approached the small fox energetically. Doesn't sound right. That comma shouldn't be there. The mistake is C. The dejected officer admitted, "I'm afraid there's very little I can do to help." Again, such a simple one. Have a look. Is there a mistake there? I can't quite see. I'm. Where is your apostrophe in I'm? Such a simple one. I am. It's a contraction. Should have an apostrophe. This is the most simple one. Bill visited the supermarket and purchased eggs, flour and butter for making a cake. There's no mistake there. Yes, there is. There is no full stop after cake. Don't forget, a sentence needs a full stop to complete it. The answer to that one is D. Best word. So, in this passage, your task is to select the most appropriate word or group. Now, this box, ignore this box. There should be a question above it, but there isn't. So let's scroll past that so you're not distracted. You've got 1, 2, 3 pages, but they should be easy. It's just about reading it to yourself and knowing which one is the best. In my opinion, the cake is more delicious, space the one you previously baked. So you've got the current cake, the one you previously baked. It's a comparison. Something is more than something else. When it's a comparison, we use than. Has to be E for that one. Before something down the stairs, Kevin swiftly brushed his teeth. So before doing something, you're going to do it in the future. He hasn't done it yet. He's brushing his teeth first, then he does it. So, before rushed down the stairs, no, that's present tense. Before rushed, it's not in the past, hasn't quite happened yet. Before having rushed down the stairs, Kevin Swift, almost. Before rushes, still present tense. Before rushing down the stairs, before doing that. Doing, ing is the sound you want there, has to be B, rushing. Summoned to the palace, the courtier. Now, which one is were asked to resign, with asked to resign, was asked to resign? The only one that makes sense there is C. It has to be C. In the painting, a girl is portrayed standing in the middle. You're in the middle of something. Of something. You can't be in the middle below it, otherwise you're not in the middle. You can't be in the middle for it. You're not doing anything for it. In the middle, in tall willow trees. Wrong grammar. Bad grammar. Has to be of. In the middle of something. The answer for 5 is E. So, number 6. Mastering to, well, flyer is a completely different verb. Flew, past tense. Flown, also past tense. Flight is a noun. Mastering to flight an aeroplane is wrong. Mastering to fly is the only valid one. Now remember, process of elimination is an entirely valid course of action. If you can get rid of all the answers that are wrong and get left with only the answer that's right, you've won. This brown leash belongs to the 2, well, 7. Let's have a look. So, it belongs to 2 boys. Now, we've spoken about apostrophes before, I think. It belongs to 2 boys. So there's more than one boy, and we make it plural, so it's boy with an S on the end, boys. But it belongs to them. So there has to be an apostrophe somewhere. We put it after the S. You don't need another S. When it's a plural thing, and it belongs to that plural, don't put an S after the apostrophe as well. It's not boyses, just boys. Just boys. Should be E. Felice held the title of the most good, more better. This is all about superlatives. Remember, EST or ST will often be a good mark of your superlatives. Let's put that word down again. I think we've spoken about these before. Superlatives. They end with EST or ST. Bestest is not a word. Best is. Has to be C. The coach encouraged the athlete not to live. Well, let's have a look. Number 9. The coach encouraged the athlete not to live within his recent loss. We're talking about don't get, distracted by it. Move on. You've got to move on. Don't live in something. In something. Don't live in it right now. Inside of it. You're inside of it. You're in your recent loss. You're thinking about it. It's dominating you. You're in it. The coach encouraged the athlete not to live in his recent loss. Blank the setback, the construction team was on course to finish the project. So it sounds like a setback is when something bad happens. So something's bad has happened, but they're still on course to finish the project. So it's like they've overcome the issue, right? So there's been a problem, but they're still going to finish in time. So there has to be a word that indicates that even though something has happened, they're still doing it. They've fought back. Because the setback, well, no. A mistake doesn't mean you finish on time. It can't be because. For the setback doesn't wrong. It is wrong. Even the setback could be right, but you need more words. Even though there was a setback, the construction team was on course to finish the project. So even works with more words around, but it can't be that at the moment. Despite. Despite is very often used for when something bad has happened or something good has happened, and the opposite happens in the end. Something good has happened, but something bad happens in the end. Something bad has happened, something good happens in the end. It's despite the thing that happens. It ignores the things that happened. Still, good happens despite the bad thing. Bad happens despite the good thing. Mr. John was blank by a loud noise from outside in the garden. Well, this is just about conjugating. Remember, we spoke about conjugations before, knowing how to handle a verb. The verb to awake. That's the verb we're looking at. Mr. John was, well, it's was, so it's got to be past tense. So awake can't be that present tense. Waked, not right. We're looking at to awake. Awoked, I've never heard that in my life. Awaked or awoken has to be awoken. That is the correct conjugation. awoken. Again, the more you read, the more you do work on verbs, understanding how they get conjugated, the more likely you will be to understand why D is the right answer. So 12. He promptly blank out of bed. Again, this is similar to the previous one. It's just about getting the right conjugation. He promptly, well, this is a rare one. To spring. To spring, when it is put in its past participle, remember that past participle, it's rare on that it will not end with ed. It will not end with ed. It's a very, very a rare one, where the past participle looks a bit different. And the past participle of spring is sprung. It's sprang. There you go. It's sprang. So it has to be B there. Number 12 has to be B. Last questions, and then we call this one a day. He went downstairs to look what was happening. No, not enough words. You can't look what was happening. To looked, it's not past tense. He went downstairs. He went downstairs. He went downstairs to looked what was happening. No. He went downstairs to see what was happening. Now we're talking. He's gone downstairs, but now he's seeing it right now. Present tense has to be see. 14. He only paused to put on his dressing gown as his wife lies in bed still asleep. Well, it can't be that. He only paused. Past participle. We know we're in the past. Lies is present tense. Lays in bed, present tense. As his wife laid, that's not how you spell that. L-A-I-D is the past participle for lay. L-A-I-D. Laid, again the wrong spelling. As his wife lay in bed still asleep. You need to know about what tense is the right. You need to know about what tense is the correct one to use at all times. If you're not putting words in the right tense, you will never make any sense. You need to know. Has to be E here. He blanked to himself. There is somebody out there. So he's thinking to himself. He's speaking to himself. There is somebody out there. He thought to himself. He thanks, completely wrong word. He thinking to himself, wrong tense. He thinked to himself. Thinked, don't like that. It's got to be thought. Thinked is the wrong kind of past tense here. You want thought. He thought to himself. He pondered privately. Now here we go. We've spoken about this before. Whose is wrong here, because whose is about possession. You want who is. Who's out there. There is somebody out there. We know there's somebody out there. Who is out there? It's contraction. Who is has to be C. Mr. John could sense some movements. Well, above the dustbin. You don't really sense movements above the dustbin. You see it because it's obvious. It's not hiding. It's above the dustbin. If it's about sensing movements, remember using the right word, sensing movements. Maybe it's in the dustbin. Harder to tell because you can't see. Should be A. Excuse me. Mr. John grinned to himself as the red fox. Well, this is about doing something. This is an adverb. Remember, an adjective that describes a verb. It dashed away in a certain manner. Quickest, superlative, not correct. More quickly. That is a comparative comparison. Don't need that. Most quick. Another kind of superlative. We don't need it. Quick. Quick dashed away. Wrong. Quickly. That's an adverb. It ends in ly. Quickly dashed away. Has to be B. Right. Those are how your proofreading worksheets look. I hope they all make sense. We've gone through the answers together. It's probable that we look at another one soon.